Okay, so this video is going to be about the sourcing of fonts, which I believe is of great importance whether you are a webmaster creating websites or blogs, or a self-published author creating printed books or designing covers for your ebooks, and of course especially if you are designing t-shirts or other products for that matter for sale on print-on-demand platforms, such as Merch by Amazon. Choosing the right typeface is quite essential to your creation, and therefore knowing where to source the best fonts will undoubtedly play an important role in your design process. And in my opinion, when it comes to fonts, there's no better place to start than the granddaddy of typefaces, fonts.com. And here we are on the fonts.com website, where you can see straight away a slider presenting some beautiful typefaces that would simply look great on t-shirt designs, depending on which niches you are targeting. And if you like the look of any of these particular typefaces, you can hover over the slider, like so, and find out details about the font that you are viewing. Now, the homepage of fonts.com is naturally a great place to find fonts for your design, but perhaps an even better place to look is within their fonts lists, which defaults to their best sellers section. And here you'll be able to find those fonts that other creatives consider to be the best of the best. Of course, if you are looking to discover some cool new fonts, then it may be better to have a look at the new releases section. This looks interesting. I am currently looking to design some cool shirts for the Oktoberfest, and so this old style Germanic lettering might work very well indeed. So let's look at this in more detail. Sachsenwald, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, which has got that whole Germanic Gothic black letter look going on, which I think would look perfect on an Oktoberfest t-shirt. Now the thing is, a high quality font of this type is not going to come cheap. And as you can see over here on the right, a commercial license to use this particular typeface is going to cost you from $49, and it may well cost you a lot more. For example, it's going to cost double that if you want to use the font within an ebook. Now, this might be a small price to pay if you are determined that the book you have spent the last 3 years writing is going to look and feel spectacular. But it is by no means an insignificant investment for a single t-shirt design, one which you have no real way of knowing as to whether or not it will make a single sale. And which is why, despite the fact I believe fonts.com is an excellent resource for great looking typefaces, I rarely purchase any of my fonts from here. Instead, I find the reason that I come to fonts.com is more for their amazing learning resources on the platform, such as Fontology, the fonts.com blog, and FYTI, all three of which are informative resources, but in particular I recommend that you take the time to go through Fontology, which I have found to be an extremely helpful guide where you are able to learn the basics of typography. Level 1 is entitled A Typographic Foundation, where you are able to find out about the history of type, the anatomy of type, and finally, all about type families. Level 2 then takes a look at practical typography, which includes sections on text typography, display typography, and web typography, each of which I found to be essential reading for the various types of text-based designs that I personally do when creating printed books and print-on-demand products, as well as the websites that I promote them on. Level 3 then takes a more in-depth look at numbers, signs and symbols, while Level 4 concentrates on fine typography and type typography. So there you go. That's the Fontology resource, which I highly recommend you take the time to read, as it will give you a good basic understanding of typography. And incredibly, this is a free resource on fonts.com. Now I'm going to go from one end of the spectrum to the other, from the best known source of paid fonts to perhaps the best known source of free fonts, which is the DaFont website. Here you are able to find over 30,000 different fonts, many of which are supposedly free. Of course, before you get too excited, it is important to determine what exactly is meant by free, as many of the fonts on DaFont are actually only free for personal use, which is not really any good if you are writing books, creating t-shirts, or even designing websites. Others are licensed as donationware, where you are asked to make a donation to the author in return for using their font. If you are considering using a website like DaFont's to source a typeface for your creation, my advice is that you spend a great deal of time checking the fine print and making sure that the font you want to use is free for commercial use, and even then specifically for the use that you have in mind. Personally, I never use the likes of DaFont. Instead, rather than using either of these two extreme examples, I actually source most of the fonts that I use from what I consider to be the middle ground out there. The kind of places where you can get a bargain and buy some high quality fonts at very reasonable prices. And perhaps the best well known of these types of websites is Creative Market. Now, Creative Market is basically a website where you are able to purchase bundles of graphics or bundles of fonts, and sometimes a mix of both, and make incredible savings on the original prices. For example, here is a bundle called the 102 Fonts Bundle, and which, as you can see, also has a few graphics thrown in for good measure. And the supposed value of this bundle is $1,630, but you can purchase it today for only $19. Now, I am not suggesting for a moment that anyone in their right minds is going to splash out almost $2,000 for the creative resources included in this bundle. But if you see a font or two within the bundle, or perhaps even more, that you feel you will definitely use within a series of t-shirt designs, for example, or perhaps within the cover design of your latest book, then $19 is a complete bargain. A word of warning though with Creative Market. I do find that their standard license is somewhat restrictive with regards to the graphical designs that they sell, certainly when compared to similar bundle type websites. But their standard license for fonts is perfectly acceptable, as, and I quote, fonts can be used in an unlimited number of projects and end products for sale. And as well as the monthly bundles that are on offer, you can also browse different fonts by their categories, such as black letter, display, non-Western, etc., etc. So if we have a look at the display fonts, for example, we can have a quick browse, and here's a nice looking vintage font that would probably work well on a t-shirt. Yes, I like this one, another vintage style typeface, and you'll notice that this particular font will set you back $19, which although is the same price as the complete bundle of 102 fonts that we have just seen, is still considerably cheaper than the font we looked at on fonts.com. This looks quite a good one that could be used for a Halloween shirt. And here's another Halloween type font. And here's another font bundle. 120 different typefaces this time for only $29. Okay, so that was Creative Market, and another similar site where you can get these type of font bundles is the appropriately named fontbundles.net, which just happens to be one of my personal favourite websites for sourcing fonts for my designs. As with Creative Market, they also feature font bundles, but on the whole, they are probably slightly cheaper. This particular bundle will only cost you $10. And they also offer design bundles on their sister site, designbundles.net. And here you can see the expired bundles, which will give you an idea of the kind of promotions they might offer in the future. As well as their premium font bundles, they also offer free fonts, which are usually only free for a limited period, but which do come with a commercial license. And it is certainly worth having a look through here from time to time. Now, one of the reasons that I love font bundles so much is because of their $1 deals, whereby every month or so they put up some of their top-selling fonts, which would normally sell for $12 or $15 a go, and reduce the price to $1 per font. However, they limit these fonts to, I think it's 500 units, and it's first come, first served, and the popular fonts sell like hotcakes. So you really need to get onto their site as soon as the sale starts if you want to have any chance at all of picking up a great looking font for only $1. As you can see, the next event begins on October the 11th at 6 p.m. Central European Time, where I'm based, so 5 p.m. in the UK, and between 9 a.m. and midday in the States, depending upon the time zone where you live. And I advise you to join their Facebook group so you can get reminders for their upcoming events. So that is the Font Bundle's $1 deals. Depending on when you see this video, you may or may not make this particular offer. But like I said, there is usually a new one every month. The final site that I would like to show you is another bundle site called Dream Bundles. And they currently have a great free bundle that you can download with 20 free fonts. Again, this may or may not be there by the time you watch this video. or they may have a new bundle that they are offering. But this site is certainly worth looking at. And as you can see, you have full commercial rights to use the fonts. They are hand-picked best sellers, and you can get 99% off of their paid bundles, which obviously doesn't apply with this bundle as it is free. So I am going to click on the link and show you the fonts that are included, as I think there are some really cool fonts here that will look great on t-shirt designs and other print-on-demand products. You will need to click on this link and enter your email, so you're going to be on their mailing list, but I personally think it's worth doing that considering the quality of the free fonts you'll be getting. So here is a mock-up of the 20 fonts that are included in the bundle. And there are a couple here that I really like, such as Simplifica and Mosque. Cornerstone looks quite good as well. Personally, I don't really like these handwriting type fonts on t-shirts, but they can work quite well on mugs, as do these brush script typefaces. That one doesn't look too bad. This one's quite interesting and goes into a lot of detail. Here's a vintage display font that's pretty good. This is quite a modern one. And another vintage one. Not so keen on these. That's not bad. Yeah, I quite like the look of that typeface. Okay, I'll just scroll down a bit further. Aha! Simplifica. I really like this simple typeface. The boldface works very well on t-shirts. It also works with all these different foreign characters, such as the umlauts and the acute and grave accents. I think it's worth the download just for this font alone. I really like this Mosque font as well. And as you can see, it comes in 9 different weights. A lot of detail has gone into this one. Another great typeface. This one's good as well. And it handles the Cyrillic alphabet, the Azbuka, which is good if you're designing Russian or Ukrainian shirts. Yes, I really like this one. Again, very well presented. And there's another vintage one. So there you go, some incredible looking fonts there that are free for commercial use. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and that it has given you some idea as to where you can source some great looking fonts for use in your different design projects, whether that be web design, self-publishing projects, or of course print-on-demand products. And before I finish, just a few final words to end the video. Please try and avoid using fonts where you do not have the commercial rights to use them, First of all, because it's not really fair on these incredibly talented designers who have put all that effort into creating these typefaces. But secondly, because it might end up harming your business, possibly resulting in you being thrown off a third-party account, for example your Merch by Amazon account, where you will no doubt have put in a lot of effort to build up your business on there. So please always check those licenses, even if you have paid for a font or donated some money. You really need to read the fine print before you use a particular font. Okay, so that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.